And hello and welcome to the Weekday Warriors of Wrestling for October 29th, 2020. It is somehow almost 2021, which is amazing. What a year it's been. What a year. It's been Drew McIntyre's year. Nothing else has happened in this world, but here we are. I'm Erik Clancy. I'm joined by Patrick Kelley. We are the Weekday Warriors of Wrestling. Guys, we're going to be talking NXT, AEW, Hell in a Cell, G1, and probably some other things. But guys, remember to like, subscribe, comment below. We really appreciate it. Let us know how you feel. As always, your comments are appreciated. We will respond, and we'd love to hear what you guys have to say. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Pat, we missed last week's show. That's my bad. I had a very busy week and I have a 19-week-old, so I feel like I'm deserving of some breaks every once in a while.
Absolutely.
But one thing we did miss, and we really wanted to talk about, and we didn't get a chance to, was the sequence between MJF and Jericho last week on Dynamite. I actually haven't seen a lot of reactions for it on like reviewers or anything, but I do know that the opinion was very split. Patrick, I'll give my opinion first, and then I'll see what you think. So theoretically, and there's probably people who will say that I'm hypocritical if I say something like this, but like if this happened in WWE, I would probably hate it. And I did not hate it. I loved it. And I guarantee you, if you've listened to me for any extended period of time, you know what I would say. I'm like, well, why is there a camera there? How did this happen? Like, it doesn't make sense. It's not in the context of a fictional sporting league. So, number one, I will say that there are times, and I've made this exception in the past, notably for Undertaker, in feuds when he did supernatural things or such. If it's cool enough or funny enough or entertaining enough, I can sometimes forgive it. Like, not forgive it, but like it's called on TV tropes. It's called like the rule of cool or the rule of funny. The idea is like, it doesn't matter how like whatever something is, as long as it is enough of something funny, entertaining, or whatever, it can overcome whatever like negatives are about it. So there's that. And I thought this segment with Jericho and MJF was super funny. I mean, Jericho looks like a bloated pig sometimes, and MJF has amazing pipes. But I thought it was great. I thought it was funny. I thought it was unexpected and interesting. At first, I didn't think I was going to like the skit because they were like eating a steak dinner, but it was like clearly in like the lobby or like a club lounge of Daly's place, so it like didn't even look real. So I'm like, oh, that's stupid. But then they did the whole song and dance number and like redeemed themselves. And I have headcanon, Patrick, that Jericho and MJF set this whole thing up. Like the idea that like people thought that they weren't going to get along or whatever, and so they like played with that, and to like make fools of everyone, they did a whole song and dance number. So that's how I justified in my head as far as like, here's how they actually did it. So what did you think of the segment?
Well, I'm kind of with you in the sense that I thought it was very funny. I thought it was very entertaining. It reminded me, in the comparison that I made online when I talked about it on Twitter and stuff like that, was it reminded me of the old Bing Crosby and Bob Hope Road to movies, like Road to Morocco, Road to Singapore,
Sure.
all those things. And those influenced things like the song and dance numbers you would see in Family Guy and the Stewie and Brian episodes and that type of stuff. So it had that kind of like madcap, high energy song and dance routine to it. So it was fun in that regard. And I was impressed with how well produced it was in terms of like I didn't know MJF could sing. And that was kind of remarkable to me. So when viewed within a vacuum, I think the segment itself was well made, well produced, well performed by everybody involved. And I think it was a lot of fun. I think the part that kind of got into my brain a little bit and kind of took me out of it a little bit was that it was so jarring compared to everything else that's you expect on a typical episode of AEW or any wrestling show, that it just kind of stood out like a sore thumb. So I'm trying to think of like, if I'm watching a TV show like I don't know, let's say Better Call Saul, and they just break out into a song and dance number right in the middle of the show. Would it work, or would it be just so...
It might with Saul.
Possibly. If he made it one of his commercials, it would probably work. But it's one of those things where it's like, I liked it like on its own, but in the context of the rest of the show, it just kind of stood out and was a little odd. But but again, like you said, if WWE had produced something like this, they would have gotten people, and this is why WWE's version of it wouldn't have worked. They would have gotten people that can't sing or dance. So it would have just been painful. Because I've seen what WWE does when they try to do stuff like this, and it's just embarrassing. It's, we can talk about the invisible camera and all the other little breaks with continuity that these things cause, but in WWE's case, the problem is typically the fact that they have people do these things when they're not talented enough to do these things. But I was impressed with what Jericho and MJF were able to do, and it's like MJF is becoming one of those guys where it's like, damn, is there anything he can't do?
Yeah. And like, so I thought, like, there's so many, like, good, subtle things in here. Like, and this will bring us to AEW Dynamite this week. But, like, like them dropping the girls when they're like, in WWE, that would be, like, a huge, like, overblown joke. WWE, the difference between AEW, or I'm sorry, not even AEW, but WWE and any other normal company is when WWE tells a joke, they'll be like, knock, knock, who's there? Punchline! Did you hear about the punchline? Did you see the punchline? Oh, Corey, wow, the punchline was a huge thing. Wow, the punchline was, wow, what a punchline that was. The punchline was a major thing. Earlier in the show, we had the punchline. In AEW and anywhere else, they say, knock, knock, who's there? Punchline. And that's it. And you let it sit, and you let your audience engage with it, and you don't beat them over the head with it, and you don't kill them with it. And that's the major difference. I mean, and we'll get to this. I watched part of Hell in a Cell, and it's just like, I'll get into it right now, I guess. I watched the Roman Reigns Jimmy Uso match, and holy shit, I haven't seen this in a while, and I like Roman Reigns as a heel. I think it's a fun idea. I think it's good. They must have fucking said Tribal Chief 800 times.
Yeah, when they get onto something, they will pound it into your skull until your brain will not allow you to forget it.
Holy shit! It's just Tribal Chief, Cole the Tribal Chief, Cole the like, my God, it's almost like when like, oh my God, remember when Brock Lesnar would come out and Taz was legally required to say, "Welp, here comes the pain" every single time. He wouldn't say, "Here comes the pain" or anything else. He would go, "Welp, here comes the pain" every time. It's the most overproduced garbage ever.
At the same point in the theme song too, every single to the degree where it felt like Taz's line felt like part of the theme song. But another recent example of that in WWE is that Lars Sullivan is back, and people were making jokes online that they called him the Freak like over 20 times on the last episode of Smackdown. It's just they can't help themselves. They just got to pound it into your brains until you don't forget it.
Yeah, there was God, there's so many like odd examples. I mean, like there's there's not so many. There's major things wrong with WWE. The presentation is one. The verbiage, like what we're talking about, is like, it just sounds like corporate sterilized speak. I mean, it's funny. It reminds me of like TNA stuff. Like, remember when everybody in TNA had a nickname? Like, I mean, yes. I think in WWE everybody does now, but like it would be like the Phenomenal AJ Styles, the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels, the Samoan Submission Machine, or like whatever, and they would always say them, and it was just like it's like exactly like what WWE does when they, oh my, it's boss time. It's there's nothing organic about it. And that's why, like, I complain about JR all the time. I think he's like old and out of touch. I agree with a lot of stuff he says. We're like, why are they fucking using the tag ropes? And like half this shit doesn't make any sense. And like, I agree with him on that. But like, but one of the things I do like about JR and I like about Tony, actually Excalibur less so, but the other two are so spontaneous, and they're so, I mean this in a positive way, unrehearsed. And like, I listened to like 5 minutes of Cole and Corey Graves, and I'm like, I used to like Corey Graves. I used to think he was awesome. And I haven't watched WWE in a while, but like, this is like fucking garbage.
That is a major difference, and not just between AEW and WWE, but literally WWE and everybody else, where they can, and it's amazing to me how they do this. They did it to Renee. They did it to virtually anybody. The JBL, I love JBL as a color guy up until Vince started to like him. And then he's like, all right, I've got to produce everything he says now. And nobody sounds like they're saying the things that they would organically say in these situations. Best example was that one WrestleMania where Shane dove off the cell. And you can see Michael Cole reading off of the script. And it's like, you don't trust him to respond organically to somebody jumping 20 plus feet off a giant cell? Like,
yeah,
come on. What's
I mean,
going on there?
honestly, if you're hiring these people to be in these spots, you better trust them to do it. Like if I'm hiring a quarterback or like, or a chef or whatever, like I'm trusting that they can make the passes and run the offense or cook the meals that I need them to cook. Like I don't like script everything because they're a professional and theoretically they know how to do it. I mean, obviously like quarterback, you're scripting plays and there are like, you know what I mean? It's not a perfect example, but like you pay these guys to go out there and like make calls. And if they can't do it, like, then why are they there? But I mean, like and like, I always wonder, I think Michael Cole gets a bad rap and I think it's like totally deserved, but I wonder if it would be bad. I wonder if it would be as bad if he wasn't as produced as he is.
I listened to him do commentary for the UK Championship Tournament a while back, and he was with Nigel McGuinness, and he was clearly a lot less produced than he is on Raw or SmackDown because Vince doesn't care about NXT UK at all. So he sounded a lot better in that environment.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably still not great. I would guess that, but like, yeah, probably better. Do you remember when he first, like, when he was first? I mean, he was even worse because he didn't even have the confidence to do this stuff, but he was still being overproduced. Like in '98 when JR had that Bell's palsy stuff, and then he'd be like, "The corporate team, King, the corporate team."
Yeah, I do. He was, although he did it called the Mick Foley Rock I Quit match, and I thought he did an amazing job. And I thought, oh my God, they've got the future.
Wait, the
JR?
I Quit match or the Worcester Mass Foley title win?
Well, he did both. He called both, and I thought he did a great job with both.
I remember liking the one where Foley wins the title, but I don't remember anything super special about the I Quit match. What did he say there that was so?
The thing that really sticks out to me is at the end when Rock is wailing on Foley with the chair just over and over again, and Cole starts pleading with Mick to say I quit. It's like, please just say it. Just say it. And that was probably the best call of.
Yeah. You know what? I don't think I've seen that match since it happened, unless you count like clips and stuff from like Beyond the Mat or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Which, boy, is that hard to watch.
Yeah. Especially knowing what we know now. All right. So what are we talking about? Oh yeah. Okay, so this the MJF and Jericho segment was cool for another reason. Like I liked how this was a song from like the 20s, and then like I think Frank Sinatra and Sammy Davis Jr. gave it a go around, and Jericho and MJF added their own stuff. They like called Cody an asshole and said they beat up Moxley and screw the Young Bucks and stuff like that, and it was all funny because like this is what like once again, I need to stop saying like AEW does this and like nobody else did this, because like it was basically everybody but WWE would do this. And even WWE did this in like 97. WWE in 97 is like the best like creative year of wrestling ever. But like most companies did this for a long time. Like they didn't have just one guy programmed against another guy. They like guys had opinions on other guys. So like the fact that like Jericho still doesn't like Moxley because he beat him. Like, he's not going to forget that. Like, they, like, like the elite and the inner circle still don't like each other. There's all these opinions that they have. They're not going to let you forget that MJF turned on Cody. Like, it's an ecosystem, and you have to treat it as such. It's living and breathing. And that's what I really like. What a segue this is. That's what I really liked about the town hall this week. There was like a lot of funny, like, haha stuff. Like the Eric Bischoff cameo was funny. But I like the fact that people in the inner circle have different opinions on MJF. It's not just in WWE. It would be like, we're friends because we're all heels, and heels and babyfaces. Heels ride together. Like, which is, by the way, the heels and babyfaces can't be friends is the most fucking dumbass shit I've ever seen. I'm not even talking about like in WWE where like all the heels and baby faces are friends on screen. I'm talking about the Jim Cornette, Bill Watts ass well, they've got to travel together and in separate buses. I'm like, what the fuck do you think is more fake? Do you think it's more fake if there's a guy who's a good guy on TV traveling with a guy who's a bad guy? Or do you think it's fucking weird that all the guys that get cheered hang out and all the guys that don't get hang out? Like it's fucking G.I. Joe and Cobra and the Joes travel together. Like, what do you think is weirder? Because that's getting like too fucking smart for your own good. I get it. If Patrick and I are feuding and we're like, oh, hey, like I hate you and shit. And then you like see us traveling like in kayfabe era, like, yeah, I get how that would be an issue. However, if Patrick and I have never interacted on screen and I'm a bad guy and he's a good guy and we're traveling, who fucking cares? Like, like I always like, that's so fucking dumb. Am I off base with how dumb that is?
No, you're not at all. And it's funny you bring up G.I. Joe, because even in G.I. Joe, and I've been rereading the old Marvel Comics run of that lately because I'm in quarantine and, got to do something to pass the time. And it's real funny to watch all the members of Cobra and Cobra High Command interact with each other, because they all kind of like, Baroness and Destro are in a romantic relationship, but Cobra Commander doesn't really like them, and Serpentor comes along, and him and Cobra Commander don't get along, and there's a struggle for power that leads to a civil war and everything. So even in like goofy toy-based comic book land, you see like more intricate relationships among good guys and bad guys than what you normally get out of WWE. But I know in wrestling, the prime example that we always go back to, one of the smartest things they ever did, just from a writing creative standpoint, was when Diesel turned heel in '95 at Survivor Series. And him and Shawn Michaels stayed friends. That was one of the most believable things I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it was such a good quote unquote heel turn, because he's like, I'm back. He's like, I'm gonna start kicking ass and taking names. He's like, and just because I was like whatever doesn't mean I'm gonna turn on my friends like Shawn Michaels. Yeah, no, that was great. And that was like a money heel turn. And like they did big business after that, because Diesel became like fucking cool again and not this like weird guy that he'd been when he had the title. But like the point I'm getting to is like at the end of that town hall, you had we know Sammy and MJF don't like each other because MJF has kind of singled them out. And Ortiz is like, you fucking suck. Listen, just because Jericho like entertains you and like is like, hanging around with you doesn't mean we all like you. And they've established that Ortiz is like on the fence. Jericho likes MJF, and I'm sorry, Santana's on the fence. Ortiz and Sammy don't like him, and we don't know where Hager stands. And they're going to have a match next week, and I'm like, that's super interesting, because it's not this cookie cutter thing. It's all these different opinions and perspectives, and like this is Commedia dell'arte. You are a living, breathing, continuing character. Your character doesn't end when the show is over. So like, how do you feel about this other guy? How do you feel about this girl? How do you feel about this guy? Like, how do you feel about all these people? That's important, as opposed to just having a general like disdain, or like, like it's more interesting. It's more interesting that MJF is like, oh, I think you're cool, Jericho. Like that's interesting. And so I thought that segment was really well done, and I think MJF and Jericho at Full Gear. I mean, I can't tell you. I don't think anyone predicted this. I thought they were going to have a segment at the show. I didn't think they were going to have a match. I think everybody's head goes to a possible, I think this could be very cool, like situation where the Inner Circle turns on Jericho to go with MJF. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe he maybe he wins and he's in there, but since he's beaten Jericho, there's like a little bit of a power dynamic shift. I don't know. There's a bunch of things they can do. And you and I have said since this storyline began, we really don't know where it's going. But the cool thing about it is like, this has been teased since the night after All Out in September. So like, this has been really like well thought out, and each week another layer gets added. And it's just like, AEW never feels like it's like they're just like, oh, here's a new thing for next week. It feels like it's this living, breathing thing. And like, oh, I mean, look at MJF's career. He started off with Cody. He turned on Cody. He had that big feud with Cody. He beat him. He goes after Jungle Boy, works his way up the ranks, challenges the champion, loses in a close match, realizes he needs allies if he's going to get to the top. It's a very like organic path. It doesn't feel like just I'm going against random people in this haphazard way up the card,
and they interfere in each other's matches and do commentary for each other's matches every single week. You know, that whole thing that we've seen a million times. No distraction roll-ups either. That's nice.
Yeah, it's generally very good. A few people who have been doing commentary on each other's matches, but haven't for the past few weeks, are the winners of the finalists of the Eliminator tournament for the world title shot. That's Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. And I have to say, I thought this tournament has been great so far. I mean, obviously Phoenix got injured. You can't really do much about that. But I thought Page and Wardlow was hot fire. I thought it was so good. I thought both guys showed so much intensity. Wardlow's like spear through the barricade was fantastic. Like, he just came off as like tough and dangerous, and Page just like Page's never say die attitude was infectious. I was like cheering him on during the match, needing like 2 buckshot lariats. I thought this was a killer opener, a great way to start the show. I think Page continues to get over. He's becoming the guy I think they wanted him to be from the beginning. I thought this thing was great.
I thought it was great too. And Wardlow, I mean, that guy just keeps getting better and better. Like, he came in pretty green, and ever since that cage match with Cody, it feels like he's just keep getting better and better and better. And it's like, and good on him. They might have I don't want to say top guy, but they might have like a really good hand for the roster, especially for someone of his size and in ring style, because you got to have good power guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at, I mean, Patrick, they're doing what we've wanted people to do for a while, what NXT used to do for quite some time. And what Raw used to do and old wrestling companies used to do. They're like giving people wins and shit. Like, if you look on Dark, it's like all their stars are beating like enhancement talent and stuff and newcomers and stuff. And it's just like, hey, you know, like, these guys get wins. So then you see Wardlow come in and he's like a legit 9-1, you know, and you're like, oh, only 1 loss to Cody. And like, it like instantly gives you like credibility. In college, I took rhetoric, a series of courses, and they talk about, you know, establishing credibility. And you could do that with like 3 main ways: logos, ethos, and pathos. Pathos being emotional, logos being logic, and I can't remember the other one. But you know, like you know, you instantly establish credibility if you say, hey, this guy's 9-1, or this guy hasn't lost in like X, Y, and Z. Like, I find Sean Spears completely uninteresting, but he came in and they're like, oh, he's 14-2 in 2020. I'm like, what, really? And like, it's like some subconscious switch in my head turns, and I'm like, huh, well, you know, like, it's not even like we get that it's a show, we get that it's like scripted and everything, but like, there comes to something when there's actually wins and they're tracking them, they're like not earning them, but they're doing the work, you know, they're showing their work. And you're like, oh, these guys are actually doing X, Y, and Z. And you're like, huh. And it gives you a little bit more credibility with these characters, as opposed to WWE when like a guy comes out, he's like, I'm here to make a statement. And then he has like 1 win, and then he like loses in his match against the babyface or whatever. You know, they're actually trying to get these guys over.
Well, part of the problem in WWE too is they just have too many belts. That's the other thing, where it's like, how do you track competitors for each title when you've got 19,000 of them?
Yeah. I mean, even AEW, like, I mean, I know the FTW isn't like a real title, but like, it kind of is. And, you know, there's that. But yeah, you know, I think it means a lot when you have like, there's only been 2 world champions, and who have they been? Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho, big names. So you're like, oh, that belt means a lot. You know, the TNT title, like, it's essentially been Cody's belt. So like, you know, that means a lot. So, yeah. Now the other side of that match was, Kenny Omega beating, Penta El Zero M. I don't even know what his name is anymore. We'll just call him Penta. But, Kenny last week debuted kind of his new almost heel character, where he gets this insane introduction. He has girls with brooms, his cleaner girls, dancing as he comes out, and then he last week he squashed Sonny Kiss in like 4 seconds, which was amazing. And then afterwards, like, gave the faux gracious thing and like, no, you did great, even though Sonny Kiss got killed in like 2 seconds. So I think this is great. I think Kenny's like hopefully becoming the heel that people have thought he could be for a while. And I mean, he was the cleaner in New Japan, but I'm saying for American audiences. I thought this was awesome. I like this match. One thing I didn't like, and Patrick, you probably know where I'm going. I did not like Penta using the arm snap because holy shit, he's used that. Like, he used to use it in Lucha Underground, and it was like, oh my God, people will be out for like a week, and people are like terrified of that thing because they established that you would be like out after he broke your arm. And here he just does it, and it kind of hurts Kenny, but it does not factor into the one-winged angel at all, and he just beats him. I'm like, what was the point of doing that? Why did you kill that finish?
Yeah, and they also did that one, like, that wacky flip pile driver that they did. And I was like, holy crap, that looked amazing. But then, as we all expect, Kenny just kicks out of it. So it's like you do these amazing things, and then, it doesn't have the impact that it should. And that really undercuts big moves when you do stuff.
Last year we had a finish off of a destroyer. I mean, sorry, not last year, last week. Phoenix beat Pentagon with a destroyer.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was like one time where it actually ended a match, and it's like, whoa.
Well, when Petey used it like 15 years ago, it was like, that was death. You weren't getting up from that. And now it's amazing to me that like a flip pile driver is now like basically the new super kick in a sense where everybody does it and everybody kicks out of it.
Yeah, well, it's like, and the mystique is fucking gone. Like, it used to be like, oh shit, I can't believe he's doing that. And now, like, everybody from like Ricky Morton to Dustin to like everybody can do a fucking, like, remember when Buff Bagwell did one on like the Indies, and it's like, whoa, and it's like, who gives a shit now? The thing is dead. Nobody cares about it anymore. Like, it gets kind of a pop. It's like a DDT where it'll always get some aspect of a pop, but it's not like a credible like finish anymore. So
no.
All right. What else do we had? I liked Cody and Orange Cassidy. Like, Cody is like so wrestling like a heel, but like they're not going there. I don't know if they're going there yet. I think it's a mistake to turn Cody heel, but like he's totally wrestling like a heel.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, and we've kind of talked about it about all the members of the Elite, like Omega with his new fancy entrance and everything, and the faux graciousness that he showed towards Sonny Kiss, which was like, with you, that was great. And the Bucks and the way they've been behaving lately is like, are they going for like eventually? Are they laying the seeds for like a dark Elite and just turn them into this heel faction that controls the company and does whatever they want? Is that where they're going with this? We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Cody and Orange, like they've had a couple of good matches already, and maybe Cody worked a little bit more heel because he knew that Orange was going to be more the babyface in that scenario. I don't know, but their matches have been pretty entertaining.
Yeah, no, I thought this was a good one. I feel like Orange Cassidy's lost too much lately. I'm not like a fan of that. I thought like after the Jericho feud and like after the stuff with Pac, he was like red hot. And yeah, I just think you should treat him like Undertaker more. And I know that sounds silly to some people, but he's a special attraction, like the glove should come off like once every year, and like he should be nonchalant beating people all the time. Like, for people, like, you can't do that like on a regular basis. Like, what the fuck? Yes, you can. You did Undertaker on a regular basis. Like, Undertaker was a zombie that couldn't feel pain. Like, that was kind of crazy at the time, but it like totally worked because he committed to it. Orange Cassidy's a guy who doesn't try but can beat you. Like, that's the fucking gimmick. Like, let him do that, and like, don't let him try until he actually needs to. So like, I think Orange could be bigger than he is. And I think they've like, that's one thing I would say. I would say make Orange more of a special attraction because I think you will get more out of him.
Well, at the Full Gear pay-per-view, he's working the buy-in pre-show match, which isn't ideal, but he's going to be working with John Silver, and I hear that, and I think, okay, so that's going to be like a traditional Orange Cassidy match, right? Because that's not going to be him like going full effort on.
It should be beating without like taking his hand out of his pockets.
Yeah. And by the way, Silver kind of had a coming out party last week. He's starting to like capture my attention a little bit with some of
he seems like a funny, goofy mid-carder guy.
Yeah, kind of like what Eric Young was to Team Canada way back in the day in TNA.
Oh yeah, Johnny Devine and Robert Roode era stuff.
Yep. A1. Whatever happened to him? Alistair Ralph.
Oh my God. And Scott D'Amore was the manager.
Yep.
Yeah, God, that was that weird era of like, that era of TNA where it was like everybody from WCW that's still around, all the people that got fired from WWE, and some other people. Like that was and like indie people from like '99. That was the TNA roster.
Mm-hmm. It was a fun time though.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, that was mostly it on Dynamite. NXT had Halloween Havoc.
Have you had a chance to watch this?
No, I haven't. I have a kid.
Fair point. I watched it today, and we can talk about the rating situation a little bit later. But I thought the show was kind of a breath of fresh air for NXT because they've been struggling to create any kind of intrigue lately. That's the injury bug hasn't helped, and all the other things that have just gone into making NXT kind of stale haven't helped. So to get something that's kind of like, even if it's just for one night, just kind of this weird party thing with the spin the wheel, make the deal, and the inflatable pumpkins and all the other kind of crazy stuff that they did. It was a fun night.
I like that they're like leaning into like, oh shit, people actually kind of do like good WCW. Let's lean into this, because remember when AEW did Bash at the Beach and WWE was like, fuck. So then NXT was like, we're gonna do In Your House, and now we're gonna do great. They did Great American Bash, right?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, holy shit. Yeah, they're like, yeah, let's just do all this stuff now.
I think it's hilarious that they spent so long burying WCW, and again, we've said it before, the history's written by the winners, but now it's like they're at a point where it's like, hey, remember Starrcade? Remember Halloween Havoc and all these great WCW moments? Remember Goldberg?
Yeah.
He was great.
Yeah, he's going to kill everybody.
Told us for 20 years that it all sucked.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Oh, that's a propaganda machine for you. So tell us about Halloween Havoc.
Basically, those are my overall impressions. The Io Shirai, Candice LeRae, what did they call it? A tables, ladders, and scares match?
Ooh.
Yeah. That was a fun match. Johnny Gargano and Damian Priest in a Devil's Playground match, which is basically just a Falls Count Anywhere match. It was a little cartoony, a little over the top, a little silly, but at the same time, it's, NXT's been lacking in any kind of intrigue for the last couple of months now. So I think for them to kind of throw on this coat of paint, even for one night, I think helped them tremendously.
Wasn't there like a cinematic match or something?
There was. It was Cameron Grimes and Dexter Lumis. That one didn't work for me.
What happened?
It was like it was a weird like haunted house thing where they were just kind of messing around with each other. And it was kind of similar to the stuff that you saw with Bray Wyatt a while back with him.
Was
like that. Kind of like him and Randy Orton, not as bad as that one was, but
I was about to ask if it was the House of Horrors as bad as the House of Horrors match.
Yeah, not as bad as that, but still not ideal.
Yeah. Remember when they had the spooky tractor coming by?
Oh yeah, the haunted tractor. Yeah.
Yeah, it was haunted. Yeah. Oh fuck.
It's funny. I saw the remake to Child's Play, and I'm like, maybe it wasn't haunted. Maybe Chucky was just driving it.
Yeah. No, the remake was. I actually enjoyed the remake of Child's Play.
I did too. But is there a scene where he's driving a tractor, or am I misremembering?
Yeah. He has like that killer thing over that dude's face. Yeah.
Yes. This one's for Tupac.
Yeah. Mark Hamill was the voice. That was fun. What was I gonna say? Yeah. So, and speaking of the Randy Orton Bray Wyatt feud, we may be getting a part 2 of that, as Randy defeated Drew at Hell in the Cell clean, which is interesting because Drew has beaten Randy twice, but once he like rolled him up, which is like in WWE terms, that's like not beating a guy clean. You have to beat him, stand over him, and taunt him and lift up your championship. That's how you like truly defeat somebody in WWE world. And then he beat him with the help of like everyone else. So it's like kinda even now. I don't know, but like because Orton beat him clean as a sheet. Well, not clean as a sheet, but and when a heel wins clean, that's like, whew, in WWE speak, that's like you did really well. You like won like 42-10.
Yeah,
when that happens.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't talked about Hell in a Cell too much. What did you see the full show? What did you think of it?
No, I saw bits and pieces. I mean, I like the Thunderdome concept more than I like more than I like the Performance Center crap that they were doing for a while. It's a lot better. And I actually don't mind the phony like canned like cheers and stuff. I think it's fine actually.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly. I I mean the Roman J match was fine. I felt part of me is like, can Roman just win clean? Like, can Roman Reigns beat Jey Uso just clean? You know, does he have to like resort to trickery, or can he just? I like the idea of like wreck everyone and leave. You know, like he should just be Brock Lesnar, and I mean he kind of is. He's spearing the shit out of him and stuff, but just have him kill him. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that match went way too long.
Yeah, like it didn't need to be that. You know, I think Randy winning the title makes sense. I've said it before. I don't think Edge is to me the final opponent, because it's two like 40-year-old guys battling and you're not going to do anything there for anyone. But I think Randy for the immediate future offers a better run of challengers. I do so the Fiend Randy thing, I thought it was interesting that Alexa was like, "Oh, you burned the house down. Remember you burned his house down?" I'm like, "Oh shit, he's coming back for him." So we'll get that a second time. But I mean, those matches were like fucking legendary for how bad they were, and not even like people are like, "Oh, were they bad? Like, were their wrist locks not like good or something?" But it was just dumb because like
that WrestleMania match they had was garbage. That thing was terrible.
Well, it's just like, here's the thing. Like, here's the thing with Bray. Like, and I said it forever and ever and ever. And this is like before the Fiend and stuff. But like, if you're gonna do the spooky stuff, like, you've got to win. And he did like the bugs on the canvas projection and stuff, but then he just fucking lost. He did all that stuff and then he lost. And then in the House of Horrors match, if you remember, he like, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but he just appears out of nowhere in the ring, and then Orton just RKO's him and pins him, right?
I don't remember. I thought Bray won that match, or am I mistaken that?
Let me check. I'm going to check right now. I think it's Extreme Rules 2017.
Yeah, it was Payback 2017, and Bray Wyatt won that match.
Oh, shit. I'm looking. I don't believe you. Hold on.
He's fact-checking me.
Oh, shit, he did. But it wasn't... Did he lose to Jinder at that point before that?
He might have. I don't remember. That was a very uninteresting time for WWE. Oh God, yeah. I completely blocked out the Jinder Mahal main event run from my memory until you mentioned it.
Yeah, Jinder was a world champ. 3MB is like, man, you had a 2/3 of a chance to be a world champion. Unless you were the one-man band, then you had a 0% chance.
One day, Heath Slater will have his day in the sun.
He's gonna beat Moose for the TNA title.
EC3 couldn't do it, so
EC3 looks fucking weird now, man.
He does. Yeah, this whole character that he's doing, it's a little strange.
I don't watch Impact. What is he doing?
I did watch Bound for Glory, and they did kind of like this weird, I guess you could call it a cinematic match with EC3 and Moose. And it looked like a mix between Retribution, Raw Underground, and I don't know what the hell. And Moose just beat him. And I was like, oh, okay.
What is EC3's gimmick now? Is he like, is he still like super rich and everything, and Dixie Carter's nephew, and what's going on?
I think he's like, I think the idea is that he's jaded from his experiences in the WWE. And so he's like this rebel that like, I don't play by anybody's rules anymore. I do what I want. I'm a free man now.
Oh, all right. He just looks so weird now. His like eyes are super close together. He's like a proto MJF, but like MJF never got like ruined, you know?
Right. He went to NXT and he was there. He was doing well, and they gave him that banging theme song, and it's like, oh my God, they put him on Raw or SmackDown. It's going to be money, and they never did anything with him.
Yeah, Vince soured on him like the first week, and he's like, "You're never going to talk." I'm like, "But that's the best thing he's good. That's the thing he's good at."
I like the comparison to MJF though, because he is very much like, and the one advantage he has over MJF is he does have a better look.
Yes. Well, yeah, he's got a better body. Yes.
Yeah. But I look at EC3 and it's like, that's everything Vince likes. I don't know why he would sour.
Yeah, he's not super tall, but yeah, I getcha.
Yeah. It's crazy. But Vince is a weird dude, as we've said before.
Yeah.
Speaking of Impact, have you heard about the finish to this week's episode of Impact?
No, I have not.
It is amazing. Okay, so they did a segment where Rosemary is going to get married to Johnny Bravo.
Who is Johnny Bravo? Is he a cartoon character that talks like Elvis?
Also, yes, but this is a different Johnny Bravo. One that was like, I believe he was like an agent or lawyer to John Morrison, Johnny Mundo, Johnny Nitro, whatever Johnny's going by this week. And now he's associated with Taya Valkyrie, and him and Rosemary are getting married as part of a storyline. And they're in the middle of the ring getting ready to seal the deal with a kiss. The lights go out. A gunshot goes off. Lights come back on, and Johnny Bravo is laying there in the middle of the mat with a gunshot wound in his chest.
Holy shit.
Yeah, right? I saw that, and I'm like, are they really doing that? Oh, my goodness.
You can't bring a gun into wrestling. Well, I guess you can, yeah.
Austin and Pillman did it, and they did it.
Yeah, it's true.
We talked about it before. It's one of the best things WWE ever shot.
It's true.
Pun intended.
All right, so let's go to the other side of the world. Let's go to the G1. The finals have happened. Kota Ibushi has won it for a second year in a row, and his third year consecutively of being in the finals, I believe.
Correct.
He beat Sonata, who was my dark horse to win it. I still think Sonata and Naito has more benefit for New Japan in the future than Kota Ibushi and Naito does, but what do I know? So we are looking at the moment right now, Naito and Ibushi main eventing some aspect of the Tokyo Dome in January.
It's looking that way. It looks like, and again, maybe I'm just guessing here, or maybe it's a little bit of wishful thinking, but it feels like last year was all about Naito finally getting that crowning moment in the main event of Wrestle Kingdom. And this year, it feels like, okay, now we're doing that with Ibushi, because Ibushi's always been that guy that's bridesmaid, never the bride. He was the big loser coming out of Wrestle Kingdom, the double show this year. So now he's got the chance to like kind of right those wrongs and become the double champion. So it looks like that's where it's going. I am glad they put Sonata in this spot over Evil, because you and I have said before, I don't understand the fascination with Evil from that company. I don't get it. And Sonata's way better than him. So at least we got that fresh match out of it. I think the whole tournament was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm intrigued to see Kota Ibushi main event. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah. So I agree. And to this day, I do not understand why they put the belt on Evil. I should never doubt Gato as a booker, because he's like consistently proven to be the best booker in pro wrestling. But like, why did you do that? And is this going to be a situation like with Okada and Naito or Jay White, where like he knows something we don't, and it like turns out amazing, and everybody makes a ton of money? I do not know the answer to that, but I'm still scratching my head over that decision.
I keep waiting for that breakout moment for Evil. It's like, all right, there must be something about him that they like, because he's, he keeps getting these pushes and keeps getting these opportunities, and they put the friggin' double championship on him. And I haven't seen it. I don't see it. He's just a baffling choice to me.
Yeah, I agree. Like, the amount of and the thing I like about New Japan is they don't give their title to just anybody. You really have to be a top guy. And like the guys that I would give it to before I would give it to Evil would be like Ibushi, Sonata, Ospreay, Ishii, Kenta, I mean, I'd probably give it to Goto before I'd give it to Evil, honestly.
Even Old Man Suzuki, I
I'd
would
give it to
consider
Suzuki 100% before I give it to Evil. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. Is he married to somebody in the front office at New Japan and I'm not aware?
No, he's married to uh Io Shirai, I think, right?
Oh, is that true?
Hold on, I'm doing research. 1 second.
Okay. I mean, if so, good on him.
All right, I got to wiki him, and then I get the TV series. Hold on. Okay, I need disambiguation. All right, here we go. Yes, he's engaged to Io Shirai.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's so many people there. So it looks like we're also gearing up towards a Osprey Okada match, which I feel like should be like the match of the year, right?
One would hope.
I mean that'll be pretty amazing. And yeah, so I think you've got like it'll be interesting. Are they going to do 2 New Japan Cup? I'm sorry, Tokyo Dome days?
Yes, I believe it's once again going to be a 2-night event, which is probably for the best.
I think it's for the best with capacity issues and such. And like, I mean, you're getting with these big shows like WrestleMania and the Tokyo Dome and stuff, like they have to be 2 nights. They really do, because like they want to get so many people on there, and the companies are so big and they have so many wrestlers, and like I mean, you can't just have like 4 feuds carry a show. Like now they have like 10 or something, and like, okay, so you have like 10 featured feuds. That means you probably have like 14 matches. That's too many for one night, especially if you're going to give them the time that some of these guys get these days. You have to split that into 2, like especially now with WWE. I mean, New Japan doesn't have this problem, but WWE has women, so like you've got like they have women, they have 2 brands, they have NXT that they throw in there too sometimes. Like it's just too much. And like New Japan has approximately 7 million titles. Like no one's ever not been a champion in New Japan. So like that's another thing. Like, can we get rid of all the never titles forever, please?
Yeah, that's my biggest criticism of them. It's like, guys, you could easily reduce the number of titles you have here. It's a little ridiculous.
You could get rid of all the never titles. You could, which is a failed idea, by the way. That was something that never came to fruition. You can get rid of the Intercontinental title. You could just merge it with the IWGP title.
It basically is at this point.
Yeah, well, it's like apparently it is, but it's like it's not merged. So they've made that a point. You can like you pretty much would just have you'd have the junior, you'd have the heavyweight, you'd have your tag and your junior tag. Really is really all you need. And then the US one can, like, when COVID is done and you can go to the US again, that can like move around there. But it's just so insane. Some people are like, no, I like the never title because that's the one where like Ishii and like Goto like kill people. I'm like, they can still do that. It just doesn't have to be for that title. Like, it's not like, oh no.
It had, when I first started watching New Japan a few years ago, that was the identity that belt kind of had. But they've added so many belts since then that it's kind of just gotten lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, it was like the Shibata, Goto, Ishii, Suzuki belt, and I'm like, cool. I like those matches too, but like, it just doesn't have to be for the never title. So like,
yeah,
it's not insane. So, anything else, Patrick, that you can think of here?
Well, I just got this news headline. We can talk about it right here. Congratulations to Jake Hager for winning his Bellator fight tonight.
You had a Bellator fight on a Thursday?
Apparently, that's what they're saying on Twitter. I didn't know the show was tonight.
Congratulations to Jake Hager. And also, let me tell you, Jake Hager shows you how special Brock Lesnar is, because Jake Hager is also a very accomplished fighter in the cage. And the idea that like all you have to be is a real life tough guy to be a pro wrestling superstar is proven completely untrue when nobody else can get to Brock Lesnar's level. Like, the amount of people like Dan Severn and stuff that come in, or Cain Velasquez, who are good and then just don't get pro wrestling, shows you exactly how special Brock Lesnar is. Like, yes, Brock Lesnar is a super freak. He's tough and he's talented, but he's not a good wrestler just because he's good at UFC. He's a good pro wrestler, like a great pro wrestler, I would say.
And I'm glad that you brought up Dan Severn for that comparison, because it is kind of like at the same time Dan was around, we had Ken Shamrock, and they both came from the same place, same background. Both are legit tough guys that could, if you put me in the middle of a ring with either one of them, both of them could fuck me up royal.
No way.
Yeah, it would be pretty bad. And even today, at their age, they could still kick my ass. But when you watch them in pro wrestling, which comes with different expectations and different skill sets, Shamrock stood out, and Severn looked like Ned Flanders. And, that credibility didn't transfer over.
Yeah, Shamrock was jacked to the gills. He screamed and he just punched people until they died, and he was awesome. And Dan Severn had a fucking mustache for no reason. And yeah, he looked like Flanders, and not stupid sexy Flanders, regular Flanders. And he walked around in like fucking, like ribbed shirts. No, not ribbed shirts, and just like seemed so unassuming. You're like, this is the guy that beat Ken Shamrock? I don't believe it. It's the same way that when Cain Velasquez beat up Brock Lesnar on that one SmackDown, I was like, listen, I've seen Brock Lesnar get the shit kicked out of him by Cain Velasquez in a real fight, and I'm currently watching Cain Velasquez beat up Brock Lesnar in WWE, and I do not believe it's credible. That shows you the difference.
It is kind of amazing. It's pretty. It speaks to just how different a world professional wrestling really is compared to any other combat sport.
Yeah, and like, I mean, there's things that translate over and that like make sense in both, but like, you've got to make people believe. Like, that's the thing. There's and the truth is not always like what makes people believe. There's my favorite book of all time is Jurassic Park, and they talk about this later in the movies too, but they talk about it, how in the book they made the dinosaurs, and they were way too fast, and like people thought they were moving at like a strange speed and didn't believe them, and they're like, this is fake and weird, so they slowed them down, so they made them inaccurate to conform to people's expectations of them. And they're like there's so much false about this, but people's expectations are what we had to match. It's the same thing with pro wrestling. Like, you could be really tough. If I don't believe you're tough or like cool or interesting or whatever in pro wrestling, you're not going to succeed. And like, that's, that dems the brakes. Is pretty much it.
Well, in a real sport, all you have to do is win, and you kind of get over, for lack of a better word. But if you don't have like any kind of charisma or stage presence, it's not going to translate well to pro wrestling. I think back to even like outsiders that came in and did guest spots, like Mike Tyson or Dennis Rodman and those guys, and they did well in pro wrestling because they were such over-the-top characters already that putting them in pro wrestling was just magic. And then you put somebody else who's, I'm trying to think of, Dan Severn, let's use him, and it doesn't work, even though he has all the credibility in the world as an athlete.
Put guys like, I mean, you can take anyone from the guest host era. You can take like Jeremy Piven, or people that are like successful and like funny in other ventures, and then you're like, wow, they don't really work here. Like you said, like Mike Tyson works, Dennis Rodman works, Shaq worked. Like some people do, and some people don't. Arnold to a degree worked. I think, I know he just did that one spot in like 1999, but Arnold would have been a guy that worked really well with pro wrestling.
I'm trying to picture Arnold getting into it in like the 80s when he was like the man and like at the top of his fame, like late 80s, early 90s. Oh God, to get that Arnold in WWF.
Do you know that in WrestleMania 3, the original plan was to involve Arnold? I
had never heard that. That's
they flew, I think like Basil DeVito or somebody flew down in 87 or 86 or something, late 86. I think he was like in somewhere filming Predator, and they were trying, they couldn't make it work, but that was like, he was going to be involved in some capacity, I believe.
Oh man.
I don't know if it ever got
Andre? Would he have been like a part of that match?
I guess. I mean, I don't know what they would have done. I don't know what the story would have been, but yeah, I think that was the idea. because that's why they like opened arms to him in like '99 for like when he was making his comeback and for End of Days, because like Vince had always like, oh, I wanted Arnold, but yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Ugh. All right, I think we're good, right?
I think so.
All right, cool. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us. Hopefully, we'll be back next week. We always love talking wrestling here, and we love to hear what you have to say. So, like, subscribe. But for myself, Erik Clancy, alongside Patrick Kelley, we are
signing off.